this Board of Directors meeting to order. Do I hear a motion for approval of minutes?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Moving on to approval of vouchers. Vouchers have been disseminated in our packets. Do I hear a motion to approve the vouchers?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
With motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. On to the monthly reports for July.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We continue to financially do well, and I'm going to, because of that, I'll just turn that right over to Dudley, and Dudley, you can say what you need to, but
Okay.
remind the board that these are in arrear in terms of timing, so we're not looking at August and some of the devastation that we saw there.
Right. Well, actually, the operating revenues are the highest we've ever had at 9.7 million, but also that power cost is the highest we've ever had at 7.3 million. And I just got the power bill for August, and it's 7.7 million, so it's even higher than last month. But the electric department had a net income of 592,000. But if you remember those big, huge storms we had, those we compile in a work order, and those work orders have not been closed. We will capitalize on new poles and things like that, but there will be a lot of expense. So to say that we made $592,000 is not really accurate. If we make half of that, I'll be happy when it all settles out. The water department, on the other hand, did quite well with a change in net assets of 58,000, which is 27,000 ahead of their forecast. And that's all I've got, unless you have specific questions.
Is there any questions for? Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. The reports are approved. On to project status reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're tracking three work orders in the electric department, and all of those that you have seen, and they're all doing well. The projects are doing well, and we anticipate that they'll be completed on schedule. And unless Todd's got something that you need to add to that, or the board has a specific question, that's all I have on that, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, they're all going well.
Any questions? All right. On to item 7, approval of purchase orders.
We have several that
Yeah.
we're going to ask the board to approve for us. The first one is slide truck, digger derrick truck. We have in the budget $400,000 for this and scheduled that, and that really was off what the manufacturer gave us the heads up on earlier in this year, which is why we put $400,000. But when we bid it out, our low bid now is $454,000, and as you can see, and that delivery on that is July 2025. Now, for $50,000, we could get it a year earlier in 2024, but we just don't think that it's worth the $50,000 to get that earlier. We are convinced that we can, because we anticipated a long delivery, so we're just going to keep that other one on the road for an extra year, and then save that additional $50,000 in the delivery. So we recommend low bid at Altech at $454,000, $483,37 for this digger derrick.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next, we have our transformers. These are pole mounted. Now, these are not the underground transformers that we've been warning everybody about, that they're so difficult to get and the time factor is way out there. These pole mounted, we're happy to tell you that they come in at about 12% lower than what we had bid out in March. So that's a good sign, and the delivery is working now. Obviously, Herbie didn't get that memo. As you can see, they're at $835,000. We're recommending DECO at $241,990 at a delivery date that we can stand. Should be in the fourth quarter of this year.
Do I hear a motion to approve? Second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. It's approved.
We are now on to the 15,000 volt substation circuit breakers. We have a 19 to 26 week delivery on that, and you can see these bids. These are 1990 breakers that we're trying to replace out there. We had $180,000 in the budget for that, but we are not unhappy to recommend the lowest and what we consider the best bid of $197,888 for this ABB circuit breakers, 6 of them.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Mr. Chairman, we have a wire puller tensioner. This is also replacing a 1991 model, and we can no longer get parts for that. We're very good at keeping things moving as long as we don't have to 3D the parts to make them work. But we had put $130,000 in the budget for this item, and we're happy to recommend the low bid of $124,428.75 to Yoder Sales.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? There's a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The purchase orders are approved. On to item 8.
Item 8 is Wolf Tree. We have a rate proposal that we would like to offer up to the board, and I tell you, in front of Todd, I can tell you how fortunate we are to have someone of his skills and talent. He has worked with these people. Kissinger is the only one that rivals his skills. And as far as a wannabe attorney, I think that's probably a prerequisite now into all the top electrical engineers, because Ernie was that way, and Todd is just fantastic. Todd, tell them just a little bit about the journey, what you can, and then what we're going to be recommending that we do.
It has been a journey, as I think we've shared with the board over the last several years, the rate increases and just keeping personnel, like we were talking earlier about any kind of construction-related forces. So as we have seen, the forces that they have here on site have begun to dwindle over the years. They begin to have difficulty keeping personnel on site. And we've seen where we should have at least a minimum of 6 active crews from them. We've dwindled down to really we're about 4 right now. So they've offered rate proposals back and forth through 2 iterations, and what we finally came to an agreement on is kind of an incentive-based rate, because contractually in their contract they are entitled to the lesser of what the CPI for our region or what our employees received as a standard adjustment for the year. So in that case would have been 6%, which they were entitled contractually to, but they were asking for additional above that. And so we came to a compromise that we would award that, which equated to about a 10.5% increase for our typical crew, contingent upon that they can supply the crews that we need. So it does us no good to give them a price increase if we still don't have the crews that we need. As a result, what we've settled on is if they continue with the same staffing levels and do not reach 6 crews, they get the contract increase of 6%. As soon as any month that they have at least 6 active crews here on site, then they get the rate increase that they have requested for the upcoming year. And then for the following year, an additional 6% for the following year above that for next year's increase, as long as they get it any month that they have at least 6 crews working on site. So kind of an incentive-based contract to get the personnel hopefully we need here to help, improve on keep up our system reliability and get the trees cut like we needed.
The situation is that we have been so aggressive with the contract that we're the last ones to get their laborers because everyone else is paying a much higher rate. Now, we know this to be true because we circulate with our neighboring utilities. And also, we've got another contract crew, ABC does, and they do excellent work, but they're at a premium. They're over what we're talking about here. So it's the balance between what do you need to pay in order to be assured that you're going to get quality folks coming in, because we demand quality employees because we oversee, what they do. So we think that this is a good balance, and it has been hours and hours and contract revisions, and I really am pleased with what Todd's able to come up with. And their option is, what we think is they'll just come out of the contract if they're not able to supply the necessary laborers. But until they do, they're at 6%, and we think that is going to be best for CUB. So therefore, there's a rate sheet, and what I do is I execute contracts with them, and that's what this is right here. And with your approval, I will execute this agreement that is contingent on having sufficient the number of crews and at this varying rate of either 6% or what will essentially be just over 10% should they meet the minimum requirements of our crew numbers.
Do you hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do you hear a second?
Are these hourly rates we're paying trimmers, and
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong business?
No, you would think that that's the case, but if you're going to work, don't work for us. Go work a little bit north of here, and you'll get a lot more money. Yeah.
That's the hourly rate that we pay Wolf Tree, including all their overheads and everything else. And the rates they pay their personnel
It's
is
fully loaded.
typically
Yeah.
about 60 to 65% of that, is what the
Second.
worker's getting.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries and it is approved.
Thank
Other
you.
business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And other business, I want to make the board aware, we had budgeted $400,000 for a roof repair over in our warehouse. We literally have buckets out in certain areas. And this is a 1990, remember when we put this roof on. 1990s, some of the things I referenced, the wire 1990s is over. And apparently that wasn't a good decade for us because everything's falling apart. And that roof is one of the things. We put a $400,000 budget amount because we thought that was sufficient. We got the bids in, and they were $600,000 and $578,000, and we're not recommending that we move forward with that, and that's a little bit of a gamble because I think we're in a bad time. I think in terms of labor and supplies, I think we're in a bad time, and we're going to get tar and pitch and whatever else we need to do, or continue buckets, but we're going to push that, and Todd and I have prayed over this. We believe we're going to be able to patch that thing up enough to where we're going to survive a year easy, another year before we dive back into it, and we're going to look again. And if I come back to you next year and it's $700,000, well, you'll just have to say that was a bad move. But I don't believe it is. I believe that's the right thing to do, and so we're rejecting both of those bids, and we're not even going to try until next year, and we'll take another hard look at that, and we're just going to limp along. But I wanted you to make you aware of that.
Shingle or membrane?
It's all that membrane gravel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
And like I say,
Yeah. Who knows?
We'll be pouring a lot of stuff out there to try to ease, what we're convinced and what we looked at and what we had inspectors do, because we want to make sure that the structural steel and the fascia under that, we want to value whether or not there's going to be damage to that. And if you're into a heavy rust part of that, then you need it to go ahead and move a little bit quicker. But we're satisfied that that's not going to be an ongoing problem. So I just want to make it aware we're out on the roof. As a matter of fact, a young man was here, the low bid, hoping that he was going to get awarded, and we shared with him not to waste his time. It wasn't even going to be. It's not on the agenda to vote on because we're not recommending it. The last thing I have, Mr. Chairman, is just an information. We have been traveling with this long-term contract for quite some time. What are we now, Dudley? Oh, well, aren't you cool? We're at 3.6 million is what we have, but at September the 1st of this year, Memphis Light and Gas and Water, MLGW, they had a special call business meeting, and their general manager recommended to award Tennessee Valley the long-term contract for supplying their power. 3 years. When was this, Dud? September of 2000?
19.
Of 19. They're thinking that it could be as much as 152 million a year, and they're over twice the size of what KUB is, to give you examples of size. Over 5 years, it's $152 million, and that obviously won't start until they sign the contract. So if you add up 152 over 5 years and 3 years now that they haven't had this, that's $90 million that they'll never see and never get back, and their ratepayers won't enjoy that. So once again, we were the first to sign. We negotiated that contract and the first of the LPCs to sign it, and we've received the benefit from that. And now I think there's maybe 3 out of the 150 some that still are holding off, and I don't know how in the world they can ever justify that to their boards or to their ratepayers. So we're happy to have, the way I put it, I'm welcoming MGLW to the party, because it's something that they really should have done a long time ago. But that's where we're at, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless someone has a question.
Any more updates on us taking over the Norris sewer system?
No. Of course, we have such a great relationship with Chris Mitchell, and we love them up there in Norris. We really do. They're quirky and good people. They're going to have to come to us with a proposal, and then it'll have to be something that I'm going to think is appropriate to recommend to the board. We're always open to help any public utility anywhere that we can. It has to make always good sense for us, good sense for our ratepayers, and I'll assure you that I'll do due diligence. And Greg down, what I call Little Greg, down there, will make sure that we won't recommend anything that doesn't make good sense. And I don't think that they'll try to push anything that's not a win-win for both of us. And that's what we want, which we want with ACWA. That would be what we want with Norris. But there are millions of dollars in a situation to where not only is their collection system in desperate shape, but their wastewater treatment plant is in desperate shape. So the millions that they would spend on their collection system, if they could do some type of a transmission line that would have to come or tie into ACWA on the other side of the interstate. All of those things are workable, but that would all eventually get to South Clinton, and we would treat it, and we would accept that, as a negotiated deal if we could. in order to help them. And that's what I would bring to this board, something that would make good sense.
Any other questions or discussions? If there's no other business come before this board, I will